Hey, everybody. As you guys recall, we periodically get together with really smart people. And today, Jason's rejoining us, and I'm gonna let Jason take over a minute. But I want to tell you the question he's going to take today. Jason is going to tackle when and why do we get out of our comfort zone of just implementation and build offers that are a little more meaningful, a little maybe more advisory, but across the board, we break out and become a more valuable asset to our clients and often to our own companies. And as Jason said right before we got on, if they're attuned to that, if they're aligned with that. I want to put that very politely. So, Jason, reintroduce yourself, and then let's kick this off.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hi, I'm Jason Mele. I'm Vice President of Strategic Solutions and Services at ScreenCloud. Um, and yeah, I think that is really like the biggest inflection point in any journey. If you're like a services led growth leader, is how do I shift from, okay, I've got implementation down. We want to shift into a consultancy. Um, my experience is I think there's a couple of things that need to converge at the same time. I think you sort of alluded to this. One is obviously you've got to have like support and backing, right, from your company. You need to have your implementation dialed in. That needs to be locked down, and they have like extreme confidence in your ability to deliver that. I think you have to have an internally focused view of your team needs to be mature enough and not just understanding your product, but also your industry, right? And the kind of challenges your customers are going to have. And I'll hear that from customers like, hey, we're looking for you to advise us on how to develop this solution. Um, but you need to have that team ready to actually understand like the industry trends, and you got to look at the customers, how they're rolling out their content or their technology, and really think about what are they doing here that's maybe holding themselves back because they're comfortable with it, and we can actually suggest they get out of their comfort zone. Um, and the third piece is a like to that end, the customer need is your customer base. You've got them rolled out from an implementation standpoint, but they're at the point where they are they are confident in your knowledge enough that they're ready for you to be that advisor. Um, if all those things align, then you get to start that difficult work of figuring out where does my expertise bring value. And you need to be a little ruthless too, and think like some cases you have expertise, but you also need to know when to like leave it on the table. Like this is not going to move the needle either from an operational efficiency or from a commercial standpoint from your customer base, and you really need to focus on really focused outcomes for those customers.
Yeah, and I find, and we train on this all the time, so it's very close to our heart. We find that in addition to finding that area that's really meaningful that we can provide, as you said, the three things: one, backing; one, where can we play? What is our competence? But where does it matter and push the needle? Is getting the organization able to lead customers and have those more executive type conversations with ends in mind. And there's a lot of nuances. Now, I like that because the organization gets to grow. I mean, and I know how much you care about the people. It's a wonderful time for them. And not everybody goes across and is able to do it. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about, hey, there's a lot more capabilities that you can grow that make you a better executive over time, make you a better client manager over time.
What do you think about this? This is something I've been working on. So the like game theory, right? So I had a concept, and we talked about this recently. I had a concept for an offering that we're working through, and I had my thoughts as a leader of what I thought it was supposed to be. But I had the team run it through exercises with known customers as if they were presenting these
Sure.
to known customers. And um, this is obviously time investment, right? We're taking time for like a non-billable deliverable, but we're really running it through and trying to figure out the difference between what we think we know, and then really bring this through and like try to look at the outcomes from the customer standpoint. And what we discovered is, in just having that game theory with the actual folks that are on the ground, I really discovered that initially my thought of what I thought the ICP was for this offering was off. And they discovered it's like, hey, so I don't know if this really fits where the customer's going to get value, because they ran it through an exercise and they looked at the output, and I'm like, I think we have the market where this is valuable is not getting into details on the package that hasn't been released yet, but we completely discovered that I was off on the original thought of what the ICP was, but we found a lot of value for a different one. And that exercise proved to be extremely valuable for me, but also for the team, because we got to run it through and really like try to analyze it from a customer standpoint before we went to market. And I think it was also a powerful message that as a leader, what you think you know and what your team of ideally experts you've brought in will figure out, if you really press it to them and put all their brains to it, can be something significantly different. And they can be your greatest asset if you put together a solid team.
Yeah. Yeah. We almost always, and, we've done probably, I don't know, 1,500 offers for people. We have a whole group that does offer, and we've found that the testing of the offer, as you're using the science of it, always yields big thought. And but I will say, well structured offers that you validate, and structure matters a lot, but well structured offers validated in the market often change, but the structure helps you make the adaptation. And if your people are adaptive,
Yeah.
right, quickly adapt to the real world. But I always think back to, we were doing something for one of the big office product companies, and in validating an offer, we came across but it's still a $10 billion business for them, and the offer was wrong. But what we discovered, same structure of the offer, but the outcome measurement was different. And
Yeah.
it's, to this day, this has been 20 years, it's $10 billion every year. But hey, it's the science of doing good offers. And I applaud that you guys do that. But by the way, it also gets buy-in from your own people and early
Absolutely.
adopters. And early
Yeah.
adopters.
And when folks have a voice in crafting the offering, right, they feel like I mean, even from the idea of like, your team fully understands what we're trying to do, and they ran through the exercise, and if they had different versions of what they thought it was, it really helps you get clarity. But to this point, I didn't the actual offer didn't change, but the profile of when we're going to market, like the profile of like, who is this for and where does
Right,
give
right,
the
right.
advantage, like, oh, it was a 180 on like, how does this help this person scale, instead of like on the ground employees, this actually helped like corporate comms folks scale things at a global level at a much more
Right.
efficient
Yeah,
place.
yeah.
Oh,
A different buyer.
same process. We just like the value proposition is like, oh, I just had it backwards.
Right.
And
And
same
we
company
do.
profile,
We
but
do,
like,
because we all have forest for the trees, right? That's why we do A/B testing. But I just applaud the whole discipline y'all brought to it. That's great. But
yeah,
let's get to the timing. When should a PS leader be pushing her or his organization? Hey, we should be doing more. Our clients expect more out of us. We need to, and it takes time, as you've said, it takes time to educate your organization. It's even worth bothering with, right?
it's a good question, because I think I said that maybe earlier, that like, yeah, you have to have your implementation down, but at the same time, probably quicker than you might think, just looking out in the market, because I think it's incumbent, if you're going to be a PS leader, you really need to um, assess really quickly, get a really good understanding of what your implementation needs to look like, get that locked down fast, and really zero in on what's effective for your customers. Align your offerings and make sure the unit economics are correct on them. This way, you're not overshooting your budget. And do that fast. And then, really, even in the first, you should like, even like first 9 months in, you should be starting to assess where the consultancy should go, because really dialing in the exercise with your team, buy-in from executive leadership, right? And then go to market teams like sales and CS, that will take time. And even like launching, you're going to want to try to soft launch with this too, really identify a couple of ideal customers. Because with a consultancy, the other trick is like you're no longer delivering like hard and fast deliverables like an implementation, because the timeline for those initial customers to see value might be a lot longer. And so really building that into your growth engine will take a lot more time, but you need a lot, I think, steeper ramp up than maybe implementation is going to have, which I'd hope you get in, everyone gets into a company that's really supportive of your PS, and you could take action really quick on implementation. But consultancy, you need to be an industry pro, and you need to be somebody that can build trust really fast.
Yeah, it's a different motions and everything. Well, hey, this is as always super. Lots of great information. Tell us one thing to take with us as we leave.
Yeah, I mean, if it, just to keep on topic, I think if we're thinking about consultancy as everyone's next step, I would start looking to um, not just what's going on in your industry, but what can you and your company, what's your differentiator, and what's that secret like sauce you have that really sets you apart from your competition. And that's really going to be, I think, your big push from a consultancy standpoint, because that's where your brand really is going to lie as a PS leader.
And your comfort. Well, thank you again, and we'll have you back soon. Take care.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Dean.